have some. Running there in some. Running everybody's in some.
Wait. Do you think they're very hard? Were you nervous?
Can you take a picture of the flowers?
A bit nervous.
Hello, I'm Flowers. How do you do?
We've got Mickey's family.
Hello.
That's the worst news ever. I think you two did really well.
Yeah.
You didn't trip over or do anything daft.
I almost did.
You almost what?
Tripped over. I did. You didn't see that.
You know, I wanted to have and I've got Gwen.
Were you laughing sometimes? Were you happy?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Should we do it then?
And also, when you start to smile, you start to smile too much. It's really stupid. So I was like,
We had to try and get one of us.
try not to
I've got my
I don't smile too much.
So it'd be really nice to take one of all of us at some point, but she may be not going to come out.
Isn't it? The beginning of the end.
What I think we should do is one with all of us, and then just one with just the mums, and then one with just brothers and sisters, and then one with Dave's family. Yeah? So all of us. Do you want to come into the family one?
Take photos.
Come on. Do you want to come in?
Shot.
Family that, Rachel, do you want to come into the family?
Thank you very much. First of all, I think we want to get everybody into the room because we're going to thank everybody, all the helpers. So if you could get people in, people are walking out, but get everybody in. Yes, we're going to be doing some speeches, but first of all, there's some more people coming. Are the helpers in? Are the play group going to come in? They're being busy. All right, well, okay. I'd like to welcome everybody. It's wonderful to see such a great group of people. Someone over there said a celebration of people, and I think that's how it is. It's a celebration of people for Kate and Dave today and their family. But some thanks first. There's a lot of people who've helped put this event and the party together by doing the food, the Café Orange, and all the helpers from the Café Orange. St. Catherine's preschool playgroup who are doing the creche in there, which is wonderful. The young people from the summer university, yes. And tolerance and diversity. Oh, even better, yeah! Jo from Café Orange, who I didn't mention, and all her workers. And everybody that's come, and all of you for coming to this great celebration. So first of all, I think we should all be up, half of you are anyway, but we should all be upstanding to drink a toast to Kate and Dave, the bride and groom, and their family. Without further ado, we've got a number of people who are going to say a few words. And the first of these is Kate's brother, Nick, who's going to do the father of the bride speech.
I'm really rather privileged, actually. It was a couple of years ago. My mother got married, and I gave her away, which was great. And now here I am, father of the bride for my sister. The suit, I don't wear the suit very often, actually. The last time I wore it was at a funeral, and that made me think of something that happened at a funeral once. There was it was a really sad actually. This woman, her husband had died, and yeah, it's true. And she went. It just putting this on made me think of it. You see, and she went to see the funeral director, and she said, my husband died, and the funeral was on Saturday, but when he died, he was wearing a blue suit. He said, I really wanted him to be buried in a black suit. And the undertaker said, well, I'll see what we can do, madam. I'll do my best, but leave it with me. Anyway, came the actual day, and she was there at the funeral, and there was her husband laid out in a black suit. She was stunned by this. She really felt weak at the knees, and she went to see the funeral director to thank him. She said, I don't know how you managed it, because this meant more to me than anything else. He died in a blue suit, and there he is in a black suit. I was just so pleased. Thank you for doing that. And the funeral director said to her, well, incredible coincidence, just that afternoon another woman came in, and her husband had died, and he was wearing a black suit. He is so, I'll swap the heads. Joke, and I'm trying to think of a link, I've got. Anyway, before I get on the bit about this, I just have to say on the way down here, we called in a service station on the A1, and Barbara and Joe had gone off to the shop or something, and someone came up to us, didn't have the jacket on, just the dicky bow, and someone came up to me asking for directions and things. So I was one of the staff there. Anyway. It's great. And last Kate and David, they've done it. It's brilliant. I go to quite a lot of weddings because I play in a barn dance band, and we often go to weddings, and I see loads of them. And I quite often see the father and bride give a speech and things like that. And it's really quite nice actually to be on this side of it for once. There's nothing like a really good wedding, and I think this is a pretty good wedding. It's a really good wedding. Well, it's usual to embarrass the bride anyway, so I'll have a go. I'll have a go at a few things. How long have we got? Yes. I mean, the main thing about Kate here is dressing up. My memory of Kate is just dressing up, I can't remember Kate wearing normal clothes actually. And we had this huge dressing up box that she used to always attack, and I'm very lucky I'm older than her, because my sister Jane and my young brother Patrick had a pretty bad time with it. Kate loved weddings, for instance, and she was always the bride, and there was Jane, the page boy, or it was schools, and there was Kate the teacher, and Patrick, poor Patrick, yes. He did go to school, able to read, very well, but you can imagine the situation. There's Kate, there's Patrick, and she's saying, "You will read this." Okay, Kate. You can imagine if Kate tended to do something, you wouldn't dare refuse her, would you? Very confident. There was a slightly less confident side. I still got a memory of being on a train journey. I think one of our earliest under company going to see a relative or a grandmother or something. And Kate panicking every stop that the train took, sort of wondering if we're at the right place and we're going to be there and biting her nails and things. So it was yes, I got that memory as well. But she, think about these clothes. As she got a bit older, she started to wear real clothes. Not dressing up box clothes, real clothes. I mean, picture it, Kate here, hot pants. Yeah, you got it, hot pants. Yeah, she had them. And they were out. There was Kate in the hot pants, light stripy top, and platform shoes. And I remember these platform shoes. She used to go on and on and on at our father, about these platform shoes, and fluffing her eyelashes and everything. She got what she wanted from Brian. She really did.
And you didn't?
I didn't. I remember I got the coal stuff. I remember I was going to sell and fill the coal stuff. Yeah. I used to be very jealous of Kate with this, but there were some advantages of being an older brother, which I'll get to in a moment. As she got a bit older, she grew out the hot pants stage. It was then Afghan coats and head of hair. And I've got two memories of Kate's hair. It's amazing, the most vivid isn't the bright red hair, which was most of the time, it was this green slime that when she put the henna on, it was pasted on her head with a plastic bag there. Yeah, that was Kate with the plastic bag on her head. But there were advantages of having a younger sister for me. She's a couple of years younger. I wasn't quite so sure when I was first started at school, because walking to school with a girl, you know, at the junior school, I wasn't too sure about that at first. But later, it was great. You know, when I was at secondary school, it was nice because they were her friends and beautiful girlfriends and so on. And it worked the other way around as well, because of course my friends provided sort of fodder for her, if you see what I mean. So I want to keep their new marriage intact, so I won't go into any detail. I will mention just one name from the past. Someone, a chap, he's probably a brain surgeon now or something like that. One friend of mine called Pete Yarko. I don't know if anyone's ever. I have to mention it though, because I won't tell you any of the stories. If I just say the windowsill late at night and things like that, there is just please don't start using your imagination.
Find out later.
A quick potted. Here's now a quick potted CV of Kate. Like she left school. She did get better A levels than me, but I did get to see her go 3. I remember that. She left school and then she worked at Simpsons at Piccadilly, and she was selling scarves and things like that. Very posh shop. So there was Kate, you know, one day wearing these Afghan coats and things and headed hair. The next time there she is with Simpsons selling scarves and things. She did that for a while, and then she worked for the NUT, the National Union of Teachers, and worked there for a little while before she went to Liverpool. And I still remember going to visit her in Liverpool. She was a jumble sale queen then. She just lived in jumble sales, and her house was just full of all this fantastic stuff as well that she got there. One story I remember, I wasn't there, but in fact Nigel, I think, knows about it, was her driving test story, which I just love, and it typifies Kate. As I gather, what happened was she had a driving test and she passed it, and the examiner said to her that she could go for a drive. She could drive. It was either the examiner or Nigel said she could go for a drive on her own. And so off she went for a drive on her own in Liverpool, and she saw the traffic diverge, and she followed the signs round and found she was in a multi-storey car park. And just having passed her test, suddenly faced with all these sharp turns and not knowing where to go. It's right, Kate, yes. And getting hopelessly lost in this multi-storey car park. And of course, when she found her way out, then being presented with the barriers, we're having to pay for cheap parking. And then having to tell this attendant, I think, no, I've just passed my test. That's Kate. Yeah. Anyway, she left Liverpool with a history degree, and then went into catering, and she started at the Everyman Theatre in Liverpool, and did an amazing job there with the restaurant at the Everyman Theatre, and then moved down to London to the Bethnal Green Cafe, which is where I gather it all started. And then, if I got it right, from then she went to Australia for a while. Catering.
Needed a break.
Catering for hungry geologists. Yeah? So you imagine they're the outfit, catering for this group of geologists who are out there. Goodness knows what that involved. And then she worked, came back to England, and she worked, she was publicity person for a band called Talk Songs, William Orbit, some of you might have heard of. He was involved with that, and she did a lot of work with them. And I remember her coming to visit me in Nottingham once. This amazing car that had about 50 stereo speakers and things like that in it. Incredible thing. Then she did some book writing with my father. Did a bit of that. Some other bits of catering, and then of course she went to the BBC, and she's been with them for about 7 years. 13 years. She gave me the information on the phone. A long time, shall we say. Started off in television, I think, with Bazaar as a researcher, and then into Women's Hour. And that's where, of course, where she is today, senior producer of the Women's Hour. Which brings me round to today, and here we are, Kate and David, fantastic, 3 brilliant children. I mean, David's been really like a brother-in-law to me ever since I've known him now, and it's great now he's an official brother-in-law.
Official.
So,
Thank you.
I mean, you couldn't be a better bloke. He's great. I mean, we're so glad that he's now with us in the family and everything. So, I'd like to again offer a toast to Kate and David, and I wish them all health and happiness in the future.
Well, now you've heard that Kate, as she works on Women's Hour, it would be unthinkable for her not to have a best woman. And we have a best woman, Val Curtis.
Thanks so much, Dee. Thanks so much, Kate and Dave. Thanks so much for the opportunity and the privilege to be able to say something today. It'll be very different from what Nick said. At least I hope it'll be very different from what Nick said. Kate and I are cousins, but in some ways we're twins, because when my mother, Margaret, and Kate's mum, Liz, were expecting us, we both arrived about the same time. Kate beat me, she got there a week before me, and she never failed to tell everybody, though I was bigger than her, she's the oldest. And we spent a lot of our youth together. And this invitation to speak today really has set me off on a reverie for the last few weeks, thinking about what Kate means to me, what our families mean to me. In most traditions of the world are patrilineal. When a bride marries, she marries the family of the husband, she leaves the family and goes and joins that family. And there's something of that tradition still in the British tradition, in the way that you generally take on the surname of your husband, for example. But I think Kate and I didn't feel quite the same. I think Kate and I felt like we were part of a matriline, that we were part of a female family which nurtured us, which embraced us. We had extraordinary grandparents and great-grandparents. Our great-grandmothers lived into their 90s. Marguerite came from Switzerland at the beginning of the First World War, not knowing a word of English. And in her 80s, she was flying around the world. She heard she was going to fly over the pole, so she bought special winter woolies because she thought she would get cold flying over the pole. She travelled right across America in a train, and there's one wonderful story about how she nearly missed her train. And this huge station master picked her up in Calgary and bundled her onto the train. A little old lady about this high in her 80s. Our grandmother, Madeleine, was the grandmother we share. Madeleine wanted to be a doctor, but in those days, there was no way she was allowed to be a doctor, and she went to secretarial college. Our mothers, Liz and Margaret, took a lot of time out of their careers to look after us as infants. But they were distinguished as well. Liz in education and as an alderman. My mother as a conservationist, a biologist, and an academic doctor. And women like this, I think, are often unacknowledged sources of our culture. I think we don't recognise that enough. I think that it's often the mothers in families who transmit the values, who transmit the culture, who transmit what it is about a society that makes a society a community and not just a group of competing individuals. And I think the female side of our family transmitted those values in spades. Kate and I often said to each other that we think that in our female side of our family there was a special spark. And maybe we got it. We think our children, our daughters, have it in spades. So while Kate and I were the first generation to be lucky enough to really fully put that spark to use in the domain outside the family. So Kate is having a distinguished career in women's history, and in that best program on the radio, Women's Hour. I thought that before I met Kate. and my work in developing countries. But at the same time, we do allow a little bit of our time for our children. We're trying to provide that framework, those traditions, those values for our children. our lovely daughters, and of course our wonderful sons. Where are our lovely daughters and sons? And I mustn't be unfair to our sons, I mustn't be unfair to the male side of the family. Sorry. You'll all get your say, but
You wait.
Of course,
We'll have our pigs.
of course, their genes and their culture made us what we are too. And as I grow older, and as Kate and I both grow older, it strikes me how much like our fathers we are. Kate had an extraordinary father who had a passion for communication. Kate's obviously inherited that. I had a passionate scientist of a father, and that's made me very passionate about the work that I do. It was very unfair. Our fathers both died much too young, and neither of them were there for either of our weddings. And I'd like us to remember them today, and think of them looking down at us for this wedding. Kate and I had one more thing in common. We both took our time finding the right males. With a little bit, I won't go into on the experimenting on the way, because we did a lot of that when we were young together. We found excellent males. No, that's much too interesting. We eventually, after much trying, found excellent males to father our children, to accompany us through life.
I knew it was a stitch-up.
In fact, when Kate first introduced me to Dave, I said, wow, what a great catch. Kate got worried and thought I was going to pinch him, so she grabbed him. So she snapped him up. When Kate and I were little, we spent a lot of our youth in this idyllic place in Somerset called Well Cottage, the cottage of our grandparents. It was a pebble dash cottage with a well, with this extraordinary garden where it always seemed to be summer. We used to dress up, yes, we used to dress up, of course. We used to swap clothes and pretend, it's hard to believe it now, but apparently when we swapped clothes, we looked so alike. Our parents pretended anyway, they couldn't tell us alike. They couldn't tell us apart. We used to dress up as brides, and Kate was always the bride, and I always got to be the bride, so I don't know why that happened. We dreamt of weddings. Later on, as we got older, we began to dream that we didn't need men, and that we could change the world on our own without our men. Well, I think today we have to admit that we have come to a slightly different realization. We need that balance of our men around us as well. We both have wonderful husbands that complement and complete us. And they've given us our wonderful children. And my toast today is to our wonderful children. May they lead as fulfilled lives as their parents. May they carry on the traditions and values of our family, both on the female and on the male side. Thank you.
Well, talking of children, we're going to have a best daughters speech. Yes, Louise and Emma.
Loud.
I'm scared.
Do it.
This isn't going to be anywhere near as good as this, so I'll just read it from here.
Loud.
Alright. Okay. Sorry, like. Can I put something? When? When I first heard my mum talk about proposing to my dad, it was a big surprise to me. I never expected that on a day such as the 29th of February, a day when women can propose to men, my mum would join in the occasion and propose to my dad. When I had grown used to the idea of my parents getting married, I began to have doubts. What about our holiday to Australia? All our savings on the wedding. My dad said we wouldn't be legitimate anymore. But my mum corrected him, saying that we would. So really, what's the point? Okay. The point is to make a commitment saying that you want to spend the rest of your days with the one you love and live happily ever after. I will now drink the champagne, which I will not enjoy. It's a happy couple.
Now it's all done with togetherness one. I love you, oh yes I do. I love you, oh yes it's true.
How do you follow that? With great difficulty. So, I've got to warn you all, it's not the first time that I've left the warm seat clutching paper. But about... You didn't know what you were getting into, did you, this? About marriage. A wise man told me that marriage teaches you loyalty, tolerance, patience, and understanding, and a lot of other things you don't need for single. Personally, it's incumbent on me to just say a big thank you to everyone who made today possible, especially Kate and David. And I know it's been planned since February the 29th, and a lot of work's gone into today. And all the other people who've helped, the ushers and the bridesmaids, the helpers, the doers, the enablers, and all of you for coming. I'm sure today's going to be a memorable event. I was actually quite touched to be asked to be a best man. I'm glad we've got a best woman and best children. I think it's a bit elitist having a best man, but I think a few years ago I would have thought it was kind of hierarchical crap, but I had to research the subject because I've never done it before, and I looked at my duties on the internet, and among the most important of them was to humiliate the groom. Now would I do that? Those that know me, would I do that? Yes? We'll leave it till later, shall we? shall we? Today's a celebration of Kate and David's marriage, and I must say how brilliant you both are to have a complete family here. I mean, everybody should do it. I mean, I wish I'd been at my parents' wedding. Their planning was not as good as Kate and Dave's. Or perhaps it was their family planning, I don't know. So it's really a big day for Louise, Emma and Corin. Where's Corin? Is he around?
No, I'm in the crowd.
Oh, is he? Well, as long as he's not drinking the champagne. I'd like to tell you a few things about David because we've known each other a long time. He first popped into my life and I into his in the mid-60s, so I've known him for about 35 years. It was a time of psychedelia, sounds and social revolution. It was a time of rock music, funny smelling stuff you mix with tobacco, and yes, long hair. And I can really confirm that David had long, blonde, curly hair in those days. And now, obviously, it's become fashionable like some of the footballers, but the 70s, 80s and 90s have taken its toll in that regard. He had a flat in those dizzy days known as a pad man. And everything had the suffix man after it. I don't remember much of what happened, but I do recall David was leading edge even then. He operated a light show, man, at the UFO. It was a psychedelic discotheque, man. Reading my script. His squidgy slides of colour projected onto the screen by a crude overhead projector was the envy of all of us. But what was important is if you look back into films about the 60s, you see exactly that, the light shows and the squidgy colour, and it encapsulated that time, so that's why I remember it. David's life has always been a series of triumphs and potential disasters. He's never actually made a disaster, but potential disasters. Our paths often crossed, but never our swords. I next saw him in Morocco, drinking mint teas, surrounded by wasps, and sharing sunny days and starry nights. A couple of years later, I was drinking chai in a tea shop in Kandahar, in Afghanistan. And who should appear? Davy and Geraldine, his then partner. This little voice shouted, "Hi man, how are you?" I thought this was too much of a coincidence. We stayed together in a rusted, beaten-up combi camper van going round Afghanistan and Pakistan for the next few weeks. We also, we shared everything in those days, even the dysentery. And I'm sure we also shared many adventures in Pakistan, and I know Davy and Geraldine will remember the Cafe Zum Zum and some magnificent Baluchi hospitality. The Zum Zum. You remember it too? They went off and left me in Karachi, and they went off travelling in India. We travelled life's journey, and often from those times our paths and interests would cross, until I made a decision to hang up my travelling boots and do something useful with my life. And I thought I'd be a community worker. And after a few years of practice, I applied and got a place on the Goldsmiths Community and Youth course. The first day induction came. Apprehensive, I settled in with a group of 25 people, going round introducing ourselves, when from behind this pillar, out came this little voice. It was Davy. My heart sank. How on earth could I evade my past with him here? And I knew he was feeling exactly the same. For the next 2 years, David became an important part of my life, and everybody else's on the course. The stories I could tell for Goldsmiths people, but just they're esoteric and meaningless to anybody else. But the story of the keys and Doodle's bug spotting kind of spring to mind. Doodle bug spotting duty will remind you of those days 20 years ago now, and how time flies. There were many incidents like these that confirm that triumph and disaster were never far away as far as Dave was concerned. And I recall on the early days of that course, we drove a passenger boat down the Thames.
We did.
We did.
We did.
Wasn't it fun?
Yeah. There you go. Let's do it.
I mean, what capacity for potential disaster. But today is about the matrimony of Kate and Dave. And I've got a story, it's a joke, so you're supposed to laugh afterwards. Anyway, a woman stands by her husband. He's in his hospital bed. She's been there 24 hours a day for 7 days a week as he lies in a coma. Finally, after months, he awakes and he says softly, "You've stuck through me by thick and thin. When I lost my job and we lost the house, you were there by my side. When my mum died and the dog got run over, you supported me again. When my new business folded and when I became bankrupt, there you were again, standing by me, by my side, supporting me through it all. And now my health is failing, and you're still beside me, helping me. Actually, it's starting to piss me off because I was all right before I married you." Anyway. One thing that I can never fully understand is how David gets beautiful and interesting girlfriends. It's always about a pattern all through his life, and Kate is no exception. That's right. I've only known Kate for about the last 14 years, but she's always struck me as being delightful, attractive, and frighteningly clever. From being an author of books about women and women's issues to her current job as producer, or senior producer, I learned today, of Woman's Hour. It doesn't strike me as any coincidence that since Kate worked at the BBC, Woman's Hour has fundamentally changed from the conventional, outmoded WI type medium to a programme which is year 2000 proof and tackling some powerful, challenging issues which affect women today. I know I listen to it on Saturdays sometimes and when I'm home. I know that she won't, in her humility, lay claim to all of that, but the changes in programming have come about since she started. But the programme is a team thing, Kate would say, and Kate would profess that any tribute should be shared. But not today, Kate, this is your wedding. Even at a dry run of the ceremony in the church next door with the lovely Francis, so I thought, is he here? Francis, a big thank you to Francis the vicar. But even at the practice we had on Wednesday night, Kate informed me that the church had been burned down by the suffragettes in their campaign, which really I wouldn't have known. You know, I've got this wonderful St. Catherine's was burnt down, and I think that's a tribute to Kate for knowing all these wonderful things. And but I couldn't actually complete this speech without reference to my old friend David Holloway, OBE. The services to the young people of Tower Hamlets. Who would have believed it? Quite honestly. Looking back to those hippie days in Notting Hill Gate, the light show producer to the main force behind the Summer University, it's an interesting journey, isn't it? I'd like to propose a toast. So be upstanding for Kate, valiant detective, investigator and researcher extraordinaire, intellectual, champion of women's issues, author and radio producer, defender of truth, and mother of three, and from Dave the Rave to Digital Dave 2000, champion of the underdog, not the wonder dog, underdog, writer of wrongs, warrior for justice, intrepid explorer, traveller and time lord, fighter of the infidels, winner of wars, eco-crusader, urban guerrilla, graffitiist,